you guys doing? Jacking stuff up here already. First of all, thank you guys for inviting me out again. And really, the real story behind it is she said I bombed so bad she'll invite me back out so I can reinvigorate my career. But Colonel Casey, thank you and the Sergeant Major for inviting me out. I can say without equivocation that when I talked to you for that hour, for the first time in my life, I felt cheated. I went back to Chaplain Wolf and his chaplain assistant, and I said, man, you guys are so lucky to have a commander like that. I would work for you any day. Now, after all of that cheese I just ate, as a chaplain, we do some incredible things. We like do recons on people. So, I did a recon on you, ma'am.
Oh, great.
So, we get knowledge to help people. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of what I learned about your commander. They said she cried while she took command. She cried all through command. And she'll most assuredly cry after command. Then another report says that she's a little firecracker, and she won't stop until she gets her way. And most assuredly, her way is always the right way. The last one, this is great. It says her nickname is Baby Dragon because of the veracity of the fires she creates and all the trees she burned down and the bridges she burned down that blocks her path where she's trying to go. Now, because I'm a chaplain and I deal in confidentiality, I won't tell you who told me that. So staff, you're safe. Chaplain throwing people under the bus. Now, I got to be honest with you, I'm a little out of my element tonight because the chaplain's role is like the kicker on the football team. You kind of only bring them in when you're in trouble. You start the game, the chaplain kicks off the ball, and that's the invocation. Or when the team scores a touchdown, the chaplain comes in and does the benediction. So usually that's about a 60-second fix, and you get free food. So being the guest speaker is like really awesome, and it's a really big deal, and the chaplain is supposed to be humble. But I can't wait to tell the other chaplains how special I am. Now, I've been in the Army for 26 years, and the people who heard me speak before know I had some serious challenges. I had 2 Article 15s, and I was almost put out of the Army. So being here to speak is a real big deal for me. Now, about a year ago, I made Lieutenant Colonel, and I was crying, I was snotting all over the place because I never thought that I could achieve something as great as this. So I turned to my beautiful wife, and I said, babe. Is that what we say, babe? I said, babe, in your wildest dreams, do you ever believe that I would make Lieutenant Colonel? And she turned to me and she said, you're not in my wildest dreams. And then she went back to reading her book with the rock in it or something. I mean, there's no difference between the rock and me but 20% body fat and he's a millionaire. But I'm the guest speaker. You better get your priorities right, girl. Now, as a chaplain, we do a lot of counseling, and last night I was counseling this older lady. And it was getting pretty late, so I thought the chaplain thing to do was to get her to her house and walk her home. As she came into her house, it was somebody in there stealing some of her stuff. And she said, stop, in the name of God, Acts 2:38. And so it was a soldier in there stealing some of her stuff. So I always wanted to be a hero, so I called the MPs. And so as the MPs took this guy away, I had to ask him, why did you stop for an old lady hollering Bible verses? He said, Bible verses? She had an Acts in 2:38. Come on, that was my best joke. That was my best joke, man. I tell you. You These guys are absolutely horrible. You don't laugh at the chaplain, you're going to hell. I just want to put that out there. So they told me to be brief, so I'm going to tell you like Elizabeth Taylor told her 4th, 5th, and 6th husband, don't get comfortable, I won't be here long. My subject today is the brightest stars are the ones who create light for others to shine. I want to say that again because I don't want you to miss that. The brightest stars are the ones who create light so others can shine. How many people in here are comfortable, by show of hands, of calling themselves a leader? You see, inevitably, everywhere I go across the Army, a huge portion of the Army, first thing they do is they look around, and inevitably, most people won't raise their hands. You see, we have made leadership into something that is beyond us. We have taken this title of leader to say maybe one day if I am good enough, I'll be a leader. I worry sometimes that we spent too much time celebrating the amazing, the super intelligent, or the people who are outstanding all the time. That's you. Praise the Lord. I became a chaplain in the year 2000, and by 2008, I had been deployed 4 times. I had been deployed to places like Kosovo, Bosnia, Gitmo, and Iraq. And while I was deployed, I was having a very difficult time. Not because of the deployment, but I was wondering, was I really making an impact on anybody's lives? I had went to all of this schooling. I had taken my time out to dedicate myself to making a difference in people's lives. And at my lowest times, as fate would have it, I received an email from a soldier who I had served with 4 years prior. The title of the email said, "Thank you, leader." However, the email wasn't congruent with what was to read after that. He said, "I heard you were deployed, and just in case you die, I want to express myself." I said, man, I hope this guy's not a fortune teller. He said, "Sir, I thought you were an idiot." He said, I used to say to myself, look at that idiot passing out candy, bouncing all around, laughing with that dumb grin on his face. This staff sergeant said, every time I saw you, honestly, I was thinking to myself, why would the Army waste money giving that guy captain's rank and I'm working harder than him? At this point, I'm getting furious. I looked to the heavens and I said, God, if you give me permission, I'll send him to hell. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's chaplain jokes. Then he said in the email, he said, I was going through a divorce. My wife cheated on me. It was affecting my job, my relationship with my kids. I was a broken man and my demise was imminent. He said, I saw you coming over and I said to myself, God, if you have any mercy, don't let the chaplain come over here. I can't deal with him today. I came over in my usual gregarious self, smiling, and I handed out every person a piece of candy. And he said, in his words, not mine, he said, when you gave me that Snickers, you said something to me that I'll never forget. You said to me, it's not the answer, but at least for a moment, you'll enjoy this Snickers. And after that, you know, the chaplain gives the word of the day. I said to him, one of my favorite sayings, I said, until you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will never change. I'm going to say that again because I don't want you to miss that. Yep. Until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change. He said, and I quote, he said, "That's when I realized you weren't as dumb as I thought you were." This guy was really pissing me off. Can Chaplain say piss me off? Okay, don't call my endorser wolf. So he said, it was at that moment I realized that the candy was a leadership tool. It helped you introduce yourself, garnering trust so people could hear you. He said, it was at that moment that I realized I could get through my divorce. He said, it was at that moment I realized that I can connect with my children. He said, it was at that moment I realized that life was not as challenging or complex as I had seen it. He said, I realized life was about chocolate bar moments. As tears rolled down my face, I realized at that moment for me, I was making a difference. He also made me see myself as something we all struggle with, being a leader. We all struggle with self-perception, self-esteem, self-efficacy. But this email, which started out so horrible, for me, after 8 years as a chaplain, gave me the purpose to say I was a leader. You see, until you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will never change. This young soldier gave me an opportunity to look at myself through different lenses. And so because of that, I went to find an example of a great leader. And I found the most extraordinary leader that anybody could ever hope for. She's strategic. She has foresight. She's compassionate and courageous. She also has impeccable taste for shoes. I know my wife right now, she think I'm talking about her. But not after I found out I wasn't in your wildest dreams. I know I sleep on the couch tonight. I just watched old LeBron James videos. But my example of leadership, you may think is funny, but my example of leadership is Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy was swept up by a hurricane and thrown into a leadership position. Along that journey, she met a scarecrow who was without brains, who was stuck on a pole. His environment was so dysfunctional, there were people telling him over and over that he wasn't smart enough, he wasn't good enough, that he would never amount to anything. But this leader took him off the proverbial pole and gave him confidence to follow her and promised him, one day, I'll get you some brains. The second soldier Dorothy came in contact with was a tin man. Like many of your soldiers out there, this tin man had been on multiple deployments. He had lost family members. He was passed over for promotion. The vicissitudes of life had him down. He was in a rut. He didn't have a heart. This leader poured oil in his wounds. And promised him one day, if you follow me, I'll get you a heart. Lastly, this leader met a lion who was supposed to be, by birthright, the king of the jungle. But like many of the soldiers in here, he lost the courage to be bold because he had those around him telling him, you can't live up to that type of promise. You will never be a leader like those who were before you. This leader told him,